You've been feeling it, haven't you? That urge to share what you're experiencing, to tell people about the insights you're having, the changes you're making, the transformation you're undergoing. You want someone to understand. You want validation that what's happening to you is real. You want to connect with others over this profound shift that's occurring in your consciousness. But every time you try, something goes wrong. People look at you strangely. They change the subject. They get uncomfortable. They try to explain away your experiences with psychology or brain chemistry, or suggest you might need to talk to someone. Or worse, they use what you've shared against you later. They mock it. They throw it back in your face. They make you regret opening up. Let me tell you something Carl Jung learned the hard way through decades of inner work and interactions with both awakened and unawakened people. There are certain things about your spiritual awakening that you must never reveal. Not because you should be secretive or dishonest. Not because there's anything wrong with what you're experiencing, but because sharing these things with people who aren't ready will cost you. It will cost you energy, peace, clarity, and sometimes even your own certainty about what you know to be true. Jung himself made this mistake early in his career. When he began having profound visions and spiritual experiences, he shared them openly with his colleagues, including his mentor, Sigmund Freud. And what happened? Freud became concerned about Jung's sanity. Their relationship deteriorated. Jung found himself having to defend experiences that needed no defense, explain truths that couldn't be explained, and justify knowing that was beyond justification. He learned that consciousness requires discretion, that some truths are meant to be lived, not spoken, that revealing certain aspects of your awakening to unconscious people doesn't enlighten them, it threatens them. And their response to that threat will hurt you. If you're waking up spiritually, if you're seeing through the illusions that most people take as reality, if you're experiencing things that don't fit into the conventional worldview, you need to know what to keep private. There are 5 specific things you should never reveal to people who aren't ready. 5 aspects of your awakening that, when shared prematurely or with the wrong people, will create problems you don't need. Before we dive into all 5 things you should keep private, check out our new guide, True Self-Discovery, with 24 practical reflection exercises designed to help you find your way within. Click below to get True Self-Discovery. The first thing you must never reveal is your actual spiritual experiences, the mystical moments, the profound insights that came to you in meditation, the times you felt connected to something infinite, the experiences where the boundaries of yourself dissolved and you touched something eternal. These are sacred, and they need to stay that way. Here's what happens when you share them with people who aren't ready. They either don't believe you, or they try to explain them away, or they pathologize them, or they feel threatened by them. None of these responses serves you. You might tell a friend about a meditation where you experienced oneness with everything, where you understood viscerally that separation is an illusion, where you felt held by the universe itself. And they look at you with concern. Are you sleeping enough? Have you been under a lot of stress? Maybe you should talk to a therapist. They're genuinely worried about you. But what they're really doing is trying to pull your experience back into their framework of reality, a framework where such experiences are aberrations, delusions, signs of mental instability. Because if your experience is real, then their entire worldview might be wrong, and that's too threatening to consider. Or they try to reduce it. Oh, I felt something like that once when I was really relaxed. They equate your profound spiritual experience with a pleasant feeling they had. They diminish it. They make it ordinary. and in doing so, they diminish something sacred in you. Jung wrote extensively about this. He said, "The supreme aim of the psyche is always the creation of situations in which the self can be realized. Your spiritual experiences are part of that realization. They're part of your individuation process. They're meant to transform you from the inside out. But they're for you. They're not for proving anything to anyone. They're not for convincing skeptics. They're not for gaining validation or understanding from people who haven't had similar experiences. When you try to use them for those purposes, you corrupt them. You turn something sacred into something that needs defending. And here's what's even more damaging. When you share these experiences with people who can't hold them, and they respond with doubt or dismissal, it plants seeds of doubt in you. You start questioning what you know to be true. You start wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe it was just your imagination. Maybe it didn't mean what you thought it meant. This is why Jung eventually stopped sharing his deepest experiences with anyone except a very select few who could understand. He learned to keep them private, to let them work on him in silence, to protect them from the profane gaze of unconsciousness. Keep your spiritual experiences to yourself. Write them in a private journal if you need to process them. Hold them in your heart where they can continue to transform you. If you absolutely must share them only with people who have had similar experiences and can meet them with reverence rather than skepticism. The second thing you must keep private is your plans, especially plans that involve significant life changes, career shifts, relationship endings, lifestyle transformations, dreams you're building, visions you're working toward. Keep these to yourself until they're so solid that other people's doubt can't shake them. When you're awakening, you start seeing your life with new eyes. You recognize that certain paths no longer align with who you're becoming, that certain jobs, relationships, living situations, they were right for who you were, but they're not right for who you are now. And you start planning changes. But the moment you reveal these plans to others before they've manifested, you invite interference. People will project their fears onto your plans. They'll list all the reasons it won't work. They'll remind you of your limitations, your responsibilities, your age, your circumstances. They'll try to pull you back to safety, to the known, to the acceptable path. Jung understood something crucial about this. Other people's doubt is contagious. When you're in the delicate phase of building something new, when you're stepping into the unknown, when you're following guidance that doesn't make logical sense yet, you're vulnerable. Your plan is like a seed that's just been planted, and other people's doubt is like harsh weather that can kill it before it sprouts. You tell your family you're leaving your stable career to pursue something more meaningful. They panic. What about your mortgage? What about your retirement? What about security? You're being irresponsible. You're throwing away everything you've built. They mean well. They genuinely think they're protecting you. But what they're really doing is projecting their own fear of change, their own attachment to security, their own inability to trust the unknown. Or you tell friends you're ending a relationship that looks perfect from the outside but feels hollow on the inside. But they're so good to you, you'll never find anyone better. You're being too picky. You're sabotaging yourself. They can't see what you see. They don't feel what you feel. They're not living your life, but their judgment makes you doubt your inner knowing. Jung said, "Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." Your plans are born from looking inside, from listening to your soul's guidance, from trusting your own inner knowing. And that knowing doesn't need external validation. In fact, Seeking external validation for it often weakens it. Here's what else happens when you share plans prematurely. You release the energy. There's psychic energy required to manifest anything, and when you talk about what you're going to do, you get a hit of satisfaction from the telling. You receive reactions, attention, validation, and that releases some of the energy that was meant to go into actually doing the thing. How many times have you announced a plan and then found it harder to execute? That's because you spent the energy in the announcement. You got what you were seeking: acknowledgement, validation, attention, and now the actual action feels less urgent. Keep your plans private. Work on them in silence. Build them in the dark where they're protected. Let them gain strength and solidity before you expose them to other people's energy. Once they're established, once you've already taken irreversible steps, once the change is already in motion, then you can tell people. But by then, you're not asking permission or seeking validation. You're simply informing them of what already is. The third thing you must never reveal is specific information about who or what helped you on your path. The teachers who guided you, the books that changed everything, the practices that unlocked something crucial, the people who saw potential in you that you couldn't see in yourself. This seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Shouldn't you share resources? Shouldn't you help others find what helped you? Not necessarily, and here's why. What worked for you won't necessarily work for others. And when you reveal your sources, you open them up to judgment, misuse, or profanation by people who aren't ready for them. You tell someone about a book that completely transformed your consciousness, and they read it and say, "I don't get what's so special about this. It's just obvious stuff. Why did this change your life?" They've taken something sacred to you and made it ordinary. They've approached with their ordinary mind something that required a particular consciousness to receive. Or worse, they engage with it superficially, criticize it from their limited understanding, and then come back to you expecting you to defend it. Now you're arguing about the value of something that's beyond argument. You're trying to explain an experience they haven't had. You're defending a transformation they haven't undergone. Jung was extremely careful about this. He had teachers, influences, and sources that shaped his work profoundly, from Eastern philosophy to alchemy to his own active imagination practices. But he didn't reveal all of them. He understood that some knowledge is esoteric, not because it's secret, but because it's sacred. It reveals itself only to those who are ready to receive it. There's another reason for this discretion. When you reveal who helped you, you create a trail that people can follow, trying to get what you got. But consciousness doesn't work that way. You can't hack spiritual awakening. You can't skip steps. Each person has to find their own teachers at their own time, when their own readiness calls those teachers forth. If someone is truly ready for what helped you, the universe will guide them to it. Synchronicity will deliver it to them at the perfect moment. They don't need you playing matchmaker between them and their next level of consciousness. Trust that people find what they're meant to find when they're meant to find it. Your job is not to distribute resources or recommend teachers or share the secret sauce of your awakening. Your job is to embody what you've learned, to live the transformation, to be the evidence that consciousness is possible. Let your embodiment be the teaching. The people who are ready will feel it and ask. And even then, be discerning about what you share. The fourth thing you must keep absolutely private is your good deeds, the ways you help others, the generosity you extend quietly, the support you provide without fanfare, the kindness you offer in secret. These must remain between you, the recipient, and the universe. We live in a culture of virtue signaling, where people broadcast every charitable act, every kind gesture, every moment of generosity, where doing good has become more about being seen doing good than about the goodness itself. But Jung understood something crucial. When you reveal your good deeds, you corrupt them. You turn pure service into transaction. When you help someone and then tell others about it, you're no longer helping for the sake of helping. You're helping for the story you'll tell afterward, for the reputation you'll build, for the validation you'll receive, for the image of yourself as a good person that you'll reinforce. The act becomes contaminated by ego. Jung wrote about this in the context of shadow work. Part of facing your shadow is recognizing all the subtle ways your ego seeks credit, validation, recognition, and one of the most insidious ways is through broadcasting virtue. Look at how good I am. Look at how generous I am. Look at how much I help others. But if you're truly awake, you recognize that service isn't about you at all. It's about meeting a need. It's about responding to life's invitation to be of use. It's about allowing something through you, not about you. And the moment you make it about you by announcing it, you've missed the point entirely. There's also this. When you reveal your good deeds, you invite judgment and suspicion. People will question your motives. Why did they really do that? What are they getting out of it? They're probably just trying to look good. And ironically, by revealing the deed, you've actually introduced those motives even if they weren't there originally. Keep your generosity silent. Help people without telling anyone. Give without seeking recognition. Support without expecting credit. Let the person you helped know they matter, but don't broadcast it beyond that. Let your good deeds be a secret between you and the universe. This isn't about false humility or performative modesty. This is about keeping the energy pure, about not diluting genuine service with ego gratification, about doing good because it's an expression of your consciousness, not because it makes you look conscious. And if you're learning to navigate these subtle distinctions between ego and consciousness, between performance and authenticity, check out our new guide, True Self-Discovery, with 24 practical reflection exercises designed to help you find your way within. Click below to get True Self-Discovery. The fifth and final thing you must never reveal is your next move, where you're heading, what you're about to do, what change you're about to implement, what opportunity you're about to pursue. Keep your next move completely private until it's already done. This is related to not sharing your plans, but it's even more specific and more immediate. It's about the actual next step you're taking, the decision you're about to execute, the action you're about to implement, the move you're making right now. When you're about to make a significant move, you're in an extremely delicate state. You've made a decision internally, but you haven't fully committed to it externally yet. You're gathering courage. You're building momentum. You're preparing yourself mentally and emotionally. In this state, you're incredibly vulnerable to other people's energy. If you tell someone your next move before you execute it, you invite their energy into your process. They might doubt you. They might question you. They might try to talk you out of it. They might ask questions you're not ready to answer. They might project their own fears and limitations onto your decision. And all of this drains the energy you need to actually make the move. Jung understood this through his concept of psychic energy. He believed every action requires a certain charge of psychic energy to manifest. And when you talk about something before you do it, you release some of that charge. You get a small hit of satisfaction from telling the story, from receiving reactions, from having the conversation. And that reduces the energy available for the actual action. Think about how many times you've told people what you were going to do and then found it harder to actually do it. You announced you were starting a project, and then it never got off the ground. You said you were making a change, and then you didn't. That's because you spent the energy in the announcement instead of the action. Keep your next move to yourself. Make the decision privately. Build the energy silently. Execute the action without announcement. Move before people even know you're moving. And only after it's done, only after it's irreversible, only after you've already moved, then you can reveal what you did. This approach protects you in multiple ways. It protects you from doubt, yours and others. It protects you from interference, people trying to stop you or slow you down. It protects you from energy drain, the dissipation that comes from talking instead of doing. And it protects your decision from premature exposure before it has a chance to fully form and manifest. When people don't know your next move, they can't try to stop you. They can't plant doubts. They can't create obstacles. They can't mobilize their resistance to your change. You move in silence, and by the time they realize what's happened, it's already done. You're already in the new job, the new city, the new relationship status, the new way of being. Then they can react however they want. But it doesn't matter because you've already moved. You're not seeking permission or validation. You're not asking if it's okay. You're simply presenting a fait accompli. This is what's happening. This is what I've done. This is where I am now. So here's what Jung ultimately understood about spiritual awakening. It requires boundaries. Not the boundaries of secrecy or superiority, but the boundaries of sacred protection. You're not keeping these 5 things private because they're shameful or because you're better than others. You're keeping them private because they're precious. Your spiritual experiences are precious. They're direct encounters with the numinous that are transforming you from within. Your plans are precious. They're the seeds of your new life that need protection while they germinate. Your sources are precious. They're the wisdom streams that fed your consciousness. Your good deeds are precious. They're pure expressions of your awakening that ego would corrupt. Your next moves are precious. They're the concrete steps of your transformation that need full energy to manifest. And precious things need protection. They need to be held in sacred space where they can't be diminished, doubted, corrupted, or drained of energy. This doesn't mean you become secretive about everything. It doesn't mean you can't share anything with anyone. It means you become fiercely discerning. You learn to recognize who is ready to hear what. You learn to protect what needs protecting. You learn to share only what serves both you and the other person. You learn the difference between authentic sharing and seeking validation. You learn when silence is wisdom and when it's avoidance. Jung said, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people." Part of knowing your own darkness is recognizing your ego's need for validation, for being special, for proving your awakening to others. And part of dealing with other people's darkness is recognizing their unconscious investment in keeping you the same, in doubting your transformation, in pulling you back to their level. By keeping these 5 things private, you're not hiding. You're honoring. You're honoring the sacred nature of your awakening. You're honoring your own process. You're honoring the reality that not everyone is ready for what you've discovered. And you're honoring them by not burdening them with truths their consciousness can't yet hold. So how do you actually walk this path? How do you live with spiritual awakening while maintaining discretion about these 5 crucial things? First, find your inner circle, a very small group of people who are at your level of consciousness or beyond. People who have also awakened and can hold space for your experiences without judgment. Share these 5 things only with them, and even then, sparingly and consciously. Second, develop your relationship with silence. Learn to sit with your experiences, plans, and insights without immediately needing to externalize them. Write in a private journal. Meditate on what's emerging. Talk to the universe, to your higher self, to whatever you conceive as greater consciousness. But don't immediately reach for your phone to tell someone. Third, let your life be the teaching. You don't need to explain your awakening. Live it, be it, embody it. Your presence, your peace, your authenticity communicate more than any words could. People who are ready will feel it and be drawn to you. People who aren't ready won't understand the words anyway. Fourth, practice discernment ruthlessly. Before sharing anything significant, pause and ask, why do I want to share this? What am I seeking? If you're seeking validation, understanding, permission, or proof that what you're experiencing is real, keep it to yourself. Only share when you're genuinely offering something without needing anything in return. And fifth, trust that your silence is not isolation. It's incubation. It's giving your awakening the protected space it needs to fully establish itself within you before you expose it to a world that might not understand. Here's the final truth Jung would want you to understand. The things you don't reveal often hold the most power, not because secrecy itself is powerful, but because protection allows depth. When you keep your spiritual experiences private, they work on you more profoundly. When you keep your plans private, they manifest more powerfully. When you keep your sources private, they remain pure channels of wisdom. When you keep your good deeds private, they transform your character more deeply. When you keep your next moves private, you execute them more effectively. Silence isn't weakness. Discretion isn't dishonesty. Privacy isn't fear. These are signs of wisdom. These are signs that you've learned what Jung spent a lifetime learning. That consciousness requires protection. That awakening requires boundaries. That some truths are meant to be lived, not spoken. So if you're spiritually awake, guard these 5 things carefully. Your spiritual experiences, your plans before they manifest, who or what helped you, your good deeds, and your next moves. Keep them in the sacred silence where they can deepen and grow and transform you. Not everyone needs to know everything about your journey. Not everyone is ready for what you've discovered, and that's perfectly fine. Your awakening is for you. Your transformation is yours to protect and nurture. Walk your path with wisdom. Walk it with discretion. Walk it with the understanding that some of the most powerful truths are the ones you never speak aloud. The ones you live so fully that they become you. This is the way of the awakened. This is what Jung discovered, and this is what will protect your consciousness as it continues to unfold.